What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over how to prime your 2JZ. Hope you enjoy it. This will be pretty quick. So I just got my stroker 3.4 back from the engine shop, and I've already started, as you can see, assembling everything. It's got assembly lube on everything, which is wonderful, but you know that only does so much. So here's something that you're going to want to do while this is still off, or if you've got a VVTi motor like myself, while you've got the sensor out, you can take a funnel and pour oil down here, or while this whole case is off, this oil cooler, while it's off, there's a large oil passage that drops off of here and goes straight to the oil pump. So you want to prime that. So what you do is you stick a very fine size funnel in there, and cover the ground and run a rag on the bottom of this, because you will spill oil. So what you're going to do is you're going to fill that passage up. It's right here. You're going to fill this passageway up right there. It's got a hole right on the bottom side on the inside of this. You're going to fill it up with oil, and you're going to take your crankshaft and you're going to rotate it counterclockwise, and that is going to pull oil in. So you're going to do that maybe, I did a half a quart worth, maybe a quarter quart worth. It was a decent amount of oil, and I checked it later and it was still full, so it's not like it's losing that prime or something. What you're doing is you're just emptying the air out of that passageway that goes to the pickup. Preferably you're going to want to have some oil in your pan before you do that priming process. So here's what you do for that. Covers on, preferably all bolted down. Make sure you've got your turbo feeds. Got my turbo feed here capped off with the 4AN cap. I have 4AN feeds, so I have both of them capped. Okay, because there will be oil that comes out. No oil will come out of here because of the height of it. But while you're pumping this crankshaft backwards, it's going to start flowing oil around. And also worth watching, I've got my EVTI adapter line from Powerhouse Racing. Still finishing that up because I lost the adapter piece that goes in the 93 to 96 blocks. Be aware that that's going to pump oil out as well. So preferably, if you have a spare oil pressure sensor from the Toyota, you could just stick it in there, and that will keep oil from getting everywhere as well. Fill everything up. So put 3 or 4 quarts in to get yourself started, but not making it so full that you're going to make a mess if you need to tilt the engine a little bit or pull a sensor in or take a sensor out, anything like that. Because while you've got this level and dipstick out, it can get messy. So I highly recommend that you only put maybe 3 quarts in while you're doing the priming process. So once you've got the oil in the pan, your cover on tight, pour the oil in, about 3 quarts worth. That's going to drain, the way that it's designed to drain. But the key is, after that, is you're going to want to take this cover off. And the reason I say that is there's all of these passageways in here. See these gullies? I purposely filled each one of these up, and that is where the buckets sit, and that is going to avoid, even though yes there's assembly lube on there, and yes we're going to crank the engine over to fully prime it, having that first rotation even devoid of oil, or even just what you poured through the cap, most of it's going to go down the other passageways. So it really is going to be best to fill each passageway up. So here's what that's going to look like on this side. I'm going to set this down, try not to mess it up. Right. Move my motor over. So you can see right now there is assembly lube everywhere in each one of these passageways. But you can see there's no oil there. There's just nothing there yet. The assembly lube is going to protect it. It is going to be okay, but I don't like okay. I want everything oiled if I can do it. If it can have oil in it before it even moves, that's going to help the most, in my opinion. So, here we go. So this is my quart of oil, and I am just about completely out of it from doing that cam and priming the oil pump, just to give you a reference point. So here we go. So I pour it over the cam lobe itself until it spills over pretty well. You can see the drain passages back to the pan. I'm going to do this one here and this one here. A lot of people put a lot of unnecessary wear potentially on their brand new cams simply because the valleys here were not full of oil. You don't really want these buckets buzzing around in here without lubrication. Yes, you've got your assembly lube, but so what I want to do is I want to make sure that I see oil on both sides. That means the bucket is fully covered. This one's still dry, so I'm going to run a little bit of oil in there. So I have almost completely spent this bottle of oil now. Just to give you an idea, you're not going to hurt anything, you're only going to help. Alright, I'm going to just pour the rest of it in here, I guess, because there's nothing there at this point. Alright. An oily cam is a happy cam. Alright. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little picture there for the screenshot for the video here. So yeah, I'm gonna throw this cover back on. I'll do this once the video's over, but you get the idea. You just want to make sure that each one of those little pockets has plenty of lubrication on it and in it. That's going to help keep those buckets from getting scored when you're initially doing your real prime. So the next thing you want to do, and this is going to be as far as priming the engine, obviously I'm going to set this thing back to TDC, double check all my marks. When you turn it counterclockwise, don't be surprised, you need to turn it clockwise 2 to 3 turns, and all your marks should line back up. Keep in mind that these ATI dampers are a couple degrees off. I can actually show that to you here. 1 second. Alright. There we go. Get this bad boy lined back up. There we go. Whoops. Went past. Hang on a second. Let me put this phone down. Okay, so I went just a little bit past it again, but the ATIs Beautiful damper, by the way. I love it. But the TDC mark, if you were to take like a straight edge, I went just a little bit past again. Take a straight edge. I verified with the timing sprocket against the oil pump and against the piston. Okay, this I have marked TDC on the actual cover now with that little red dot. So when I'm syncing my ignition timing, that's going to be the true TDC. So when I want 0 degrees and I sync 0 degrees on my ECU, that's the actual 0 degrees. We're talking minutia here, 2-3 degrees, but it is what it is. Also note that when you rotate the crank, okay, there is going to be oil flowing. Make sure you've got a cap. Make sure you got a cap. Okay, most of y'all are going to have that one plugged. Okay, so be aware of that, and as well on your filter here. Okay, so the other thing that some folks recommend when you're braking, when you're doing your initial prime, is to leave your oil filter empty. Don't prime the filter. Don't fill up the filter before you put it on, because that acts as a back pressure to pushing all the air pockets out. So you want to just have one air pocket and shove the whole thing out all at once. So the only thing you don't want to have air in is your pump outlet. So this is what goes up to it and then it feeds out. And that's pretty much going to be it as far as like, you know, drainage. So you can see a little drip of oil started to come off of my takeoff plate that I've got there. So when you actually go to prime the engine when it's in the car, is going to be the best way and the best time to do it. You can do it on this stand with your starter and everything, and you could turn it over and whatnot. That would be fine, actually. But you know, it's going to be a lot easier if you've got turbos and all that stuff to just go ahead and prime it while it's in the car and fully assembled. So what you're going to do when you want to prime it, make sure you've got your spark plugs out. Okay, all of the plugs out, and obviously your injector's off. Obviously your spark plugs and ignition system is disconnected entirely, and you're going to crank it over. If you've got an oil pressure gauge, you're going to want to see oil pressure until you see good oil pressure. And when you've got the spark plugs out, that's one, going to give you better RPM to get that process going faster, and two, you've eliminated all load on the pistons, on the bearings. Everything will be completely unloaded. From there, you're ready to go. I hope this helps, guys. This thing's going to be going in real soon with these guys hooked up to it. Can't wait to get the twins running, and I hope you enjoy the video.